move around, you see people who heap sand and then sell it to builders, and then people who manage different sites. So for you, if you're owning that yard and then people who are in sand business are renting from you, then we say that you have property, you are letting out, and you are getting rental income. Therefore, you must pay taxes on that rent income. Or you own rent, and therefore you have tenants, or you have an arcade, a shopping mall. So you have tests, or you may be having all these vehicles that are payloaders. Okay, so if you have those vehicles, you are letting them out, so you get rental income, and therefore of tax income, and it's administrative.
Recording in progress.
Within our economy, but there are some amounts they collect which are really not tax revenues. For instance, if you pay for your passport, that is not tax. Okay, those are passport fees that help immigration and internal affairs to process your passport. So we can't say that you are paying tax for passports. No. If you pay fines, say you committed a traffic offense and you're paying the fines, then that is not tax. It is a fine for being reckless on the road. If you engage in any offense and then you're taken to police, you are released on police bond, then that is not tax. It is a non-tax revenue to government. Therefore, we cannot say that you paid tax code fines. No. So in Uganda, we have such categories of incomes that go to government, yet they are not taxes. Okay. So by the end of this course, you will have known as people who have gone through a business school that there are some fees you pay which are not taxes, and there are some taxes. Though when you meet some illiterate traders, they will tell you that we pay a lot of taxes. We pay a lot of taxes because we pay license to the council, and then we pay the imposer, and then we pay then URA comes, it also wants taxes. So you realize that they are mixing so many things. So they are not aware that what they call imposer is never a tax. It is an operation mandate, okay? A fee that is allowing them to operate in that, within that market or that unit, okay? So that's what we shall be seeing. Also, there is what we call a tax system. If time allows, we shall go for it. But if time doesn't allow, as the situation is normalizing, we normally have sessions with URA. So because we have Makerere University Tax Society, so we organize sessions with URA, and URA comes, trains us in the electronic tax system. So it was put on hold because there was COVID and we wouldn't meet physically yet. This chapter requires physical interaction when we are on the system. So I pray that we don't go back into what was called the new normal. We go into what we really know, so that we get the benefit of having a proper training. Then we have appeals and objections. Also, if time allows, we shall look at assessments. Now, when we look at assessments and we understand what they are, In most cases, some assessments may not be true, especially if they're generated by URA, because the tax laws allow taxpayers to have self-assessments. You look at your business and your potential, and then you assess yourself. You inform URA that these are my incomes, and I fall into such tax band, therefore I'm liable to pay such amount of tax. But if URA carries out an assessment on your behalf, those assessments in most cases may be incorrect. Now, within the law, you are allowed to object to that assessment. If you're allowed to object to that assessment, then if you don't get what you want, you appeal to an objection decision made by URA. So when you object, URA must make an objection decision, and then if it makes an objection decision, then if it's not satisfactory, you appeal to the Tax Appeals Tribunal, and then after appealing to the Tax Appeals Tribunal, if you feel that the tribunal has not done justice to you, then you can go to the court, to the High Court. So all those are steps to see that clients get tax justice. Then we have local service tax and local hotel tax. These are taxes charged at local government level, and the intention is to have local governments actually being able to provide services in their localities. So we shall understand that local service tax is charged on people in gainful employment and business. Okay, so there are also bands that we follow, and local authorities go on collecting it. But the easiest way of doing it is when the business is applying for license renewal. When a business applies for license renewal, that's when local service tax is also charged and deducted. For employees, whoever's employing you, you inform him of your home, where you stay. If you inform him of where you stay, the employer deducts local service tax from your income and then remits it to the local government where you stay. And then local hotel tax is a tax on hotel occupants, or a tax on room occupants of the hotels, guest houses, motels, inns, and things like that. So also, that is a tax that is collected by local authorities. So they audit hotels or guest houses and see how many visitors do they receive, maybe in a month, and then the hotels have to remit that tax to local governments where they operate. Then lastly, if time allows, we shall look at issues of public debt and tax, and issues of the East African Customs Union. As a matter of reference, you'll go to the book bank and get Musgrave and Musgrave. Musgrave and Musgrave helps us in understanding public finance, because tax is about public finance. Also will tell us more of government role to the citizens, and then what our taxes do as taxpayers. Then what we shall use commonly will be the domestic tax laws. So if you can get the domestic tax laws, and the recent edition must be of 2021. So we get the domestic tax laws of 2021, that will be very good. So the domestic tax laws of 2021, you cannot find them in the book bank, okay? Because they don't have that right to always be having amended income tax laws, okay? but you can access them from URA or from LDC. LDC must be having some good copies of the domestic tax laws. But URA also has a taxation handbook. So if you can get a taxation handbook from URA of 2022 or 2122, it will be so good and so nice for us. So you sort out what we can do as you see the course outline, and you don't read everything, because if you try to read everything, you'll be misfiring. But as we keep on guiding you, you'll be seeing what is necessary at our level in that handbook. Also, if you get hold on my text, you can also get good use of my text. So it will give you some good insights into what we do at this level. So ladies and gentlemen, that's what we're going to cover during this semester. And the problem that we have over delayed because of some communication issues, but we shall see how we catch up. Okay, we shall see how we catch up. Titanic. Moonlight. I don't know if those are your names, but if I wasn't sharing the screen and focusing on talking to you, I would have removed you. But okay. Laura, you don't know me, and I have never taught you. So that comment doesn't apply. I have never set for you accounting. Okay, so that comment doesn't apply. Titanic, Moonlight, I think my volume is always high, unless you're in a noisy place. Then I'll share the course outline with you. But in most cases, I don't prepare handouts. I don't prepare handouts because we are at a level of not giving handouts. I don't give handouts, but I try as much as possible to explain to you. And you go to the reference materials I have given you, you read. For instance, if you go to class and I explain thoroughly what we are going to do under a chapter, and I tell you that if you go to the Income Tax Act, read this section and this section, that is really good enough. And to you, you have smartphones. There's no way you cannot be able to get those materials. Okay, I've directed you where to get the materials. URA taxation handbook is very, very important. That one is public information. The Income Tax Act and the VAT Act, what we call the domestic tax laws, that is public information. Musgrave and Musgrave is plenty in the library. You cannot finish them. So I'm sorry. I don't give notes. I'm sorry about that, but I try to I endeavor to explain what we have to do for that matter. Okay, so in my classes, always people note down what they feel they have understood. And as they refer to the domestic tax laws, as they refer to Musgrave and Musgrave, as they refer to the URA handbook, they really get to know what we're talking about, and it provides a good understanding of what we do. So that's how I normally conduct my classes. So I want everyone to be able to actually read and understand on your own. But I guide the reading by giving you the scope and the boundaries or the confines through which you read. All right. For that matter, after introducing what you're going to do, let's precisely understand what tax is all about, the meaning of tax, okay? In simple terms, some people call it a non-quid pro quo payment, okay? A non-quid pro quo payment that is charged by government to the taxpayers. And why do they call it a non-quid pro quo payment? It is that if you pay that amount as a taxpayer, you don't necessarily ask why government has not constructed a road in your home area. You don't necessarily ask why government does not construct a health center in your home area. So for you, you pay and you stop there. But we also urge out, when you read Musgrave and Musgrave, it will tell you that government has a role to play in providing social services, okay? Because me and you, we may not have capacity to construct a road. We may not have a capacity to put up security within our communities. But if we mandate government, as we have all mandated government, to provide social services to us, we pay the tax. Therefore, government has that mandate to provide the social services we want. So we want to see that the tax we have paid has been allocated well, and if it has been allocated, service delivery has been done, okay? So on one hand, we argue that taxpayers don't ask where the tax has gone. On the other hand, government has an obligation. It's an obligation to provide social services that that can better our living. Okay. So, in other words, some scholars also say that taxation is a matter of, or it's a price we pay for civilization. Okay. So there's also that definition from some scholars that if you see taxes being levied, so we are paying a price. We are paying a price for civilization, because, as I have just mentioned, that if government collects the money, it will construct the roads, they will construct schools. They have to subsidize on the power we consume. They have to subsidize on the clean water we consume. They have to provide security. They have to provide medical services. Okay, so all those aspects are taken through or are considered by tax. So, having understood what tax is, then there's some key issues we need to understand before we go very far in our study. And those are going to be the key definitions that we must understand. We have to understand what a tax incidence is, okay? And in simple terms, a tax incidence is just an analysis of the effect of the particular tax on the distribution of welfare, okay? So we analyze the effect of a particular tax on the distribution of the welfare. So meaning that we look at where the burden to pay the tax falls and how that burden is affecting somebody's welfare. So that is simply the tax incidence. Okay, we analyze the effect of a particular tax on the welfare of individuals. So, in other words, where does the tax burden fall, and how does it leave the taxpayer? How does it affect the taxpayer who has paid the tax? Then we have a tax base being simply a sum of taxable activities that which collective or where its collective value, okay, will bring will accumulate and will cause a big change within an economy. Okay, so a tax base is just a sum of all taxable activities we have in an economy whose value is going to cause a change within an economy. So we look at any activities that are taxable, and we say though that is the tax base which can cause a change within our economy. Look at transport business. Yeah, so it is an economic activity that is really good and vibrant, where government can tax right from fuel, okay, up to the income that has been generated by the transport operators. Look at the agriculture sector, though difficult, but it is something which is very, very lucrative that government can raise revenue. Look at the service sector. There are so many people who have gone into function, they call it events management, events management. So many people have gone through events management, and that came as a result of expanding the economy. So if it's an activity that is legal, we must collect revenue from there. So it forms part of the tax base that we talk about. Then, after understanding what the tax base is, some people may want to pay taxes and therefore dodge it illegally. Otherwise, may creatively know how to reduce the tax burden. And therefore, we come to these two concepts, the concept of tax avoidance and the concept of tax evasion. So, tax avoidance, in simple terms, this refers to the legal utilization of all tax benefits to the advantage of the taxpayer, to see that the taxpayer pays a lower tax liability.
So when we are attracting, it's a good practice that we attract even more than the required numbers of employees, such that we shall be able to select the best or those ones we feel meet the requirements out of that pool. So recruitment, you attract and build up a pool of applicants. That's what we are referring to as recruitment. That process or a set of activities through which we attract job candidates that we
as we do business income, you will realize that companies will be allowed to deduct any expenditure that they incur when they make uniforms for their staff. Okay. Now, if the person is allowed to deduct an expenditure that has been incurred on providing uniforms to their staff, he will be reducing his tax liability legally because it is provided within the law. Therefore, he's avoiding to pay a much more tax because he knows the tax laws, and therefore they cannot catch up with him. Or when we look at the consumption side, Somebody may say that for me to avoid having a high tax liability, I'm going to reduce on my expenditure pattern. Say, I'm going to reduce on the airtime I buy every day. I'm going to reduce the beers I take every day. I'm going to reduce the sodas I consume every day. So, tax avoidance. Somebody was begging my pardon, tax avoidance. I repeat, tax avoidance, for matters of understanding, tax avoidance is a legal utilization of all the tax laws, of all the tax benefits that are available within the tax laws to lower the tax liability of the taxpayer. Okay, the legal utilization of all the tax benefits that are available within the tax laws to lower the tax liability of the taxpayer. Then we have what we call tax evasion. Tax evasion, now trying to lower the tax liability or not paying tax at all. Okay, so tax evasion is an illegal way of trying to lower the tax liability or refusing to pay tax at all. So you don't want to pay tax, yet you are in business, then that is tax evasion. You think about ways of undeclaring the goods you did in